Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk all about celebrations. All right, Julie, you ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to talk about celebrations, which are my favorite things.
Right. So
Yeah.
we had a question the other day from a colleague who participated in our Virtually Fabulous series. And she said, Kristie, do you and Julie have some good ideas for how to celebrate virtually?
Yeah,
And we said, of course we do.
of course we
So
do.
let's set it up, Julie. So we're going to start off with, my mantra, which is why before what, before how. Then we're going to give you some tips, and then we're going to give you what, 4 ways, do you think?
We'll do four. Sure.
Okay, 4 ways. And do you want to give a preview of what they're called or what they're like?
Sure. I'll do a little preview. So we're going to do an Oscar style awards virtual celebration. We're going to talk about a 10-minute good news hunt. We're going to do a self-portrait and a car wash. Those are going to be our big four ideas that we're going to share with you. And a lot of people are like, well, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about celebrating things virtually? So we teach people who provide professional development all sorts of cool strategies and ideas around how to do that. And really good professional development has a lot of celebrations within it and usually closes with some fabulous celebration. The other thing is we want you to know these are cool tricks and tips that you can use with any group. So if you're an educator and you want to celebrate with your kids, great, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into the celebrations, I was thinking more about like what you asked me at the very beginning when I said, okay, Julie, let's go on Facebook and talk to folks about how they can virtually celebrate anything virtually. And you're like, but what are they celebrating? And I'm like, virtually anything. It's like, okay, narrow it down, Kristie. So it really comes back to, is there a meaningful purpose? So I think, you and I have been talking about the art of gathering. And one of the things that the author of that book talks about is that sometimes we do things out of tradition, but unthinkingly. I'm not sure if that's really the word she uses, but unthinkingly. And so you might go, oh, we finished a course, or we finished a leadership series, or we finished a webinar, so we should celebrate. But we don't do it in a thinking way. So as much as we're going to encourage you to think about how you celebrated in person, we also want you to think really about what is your purpose for celebrating before you get into, oh, should I do a car wash, a self-portrait, right?
Right.
So it's always why before what and what before how.
Yeah. So if you're on right now, you can talk about the why. So what kind of celebrations are you having and why do you want to be celebrating? And I think today what we can do is just think about a lot of people are finishing up a class or a series and they want to know how do we celebrate the end of it, the completion of it. And so that's kind of what we'll keep in mind, but know that you can use them for multiple purposes.
Yeah. So again, if you join us at any point today, let us know what you're celebrating, and then we'll give you some ideas about how. Julie, as you think about virtually celebrating, are there any things other than like, what's your purpose? And people might go, oh, our purpose is like what you just said. We just finished a course. It's the end of the semester, or we just made it through a pandemic for a whole year. Isn't that enough of a why? But that to me is sort of this surface level, like we finished something, we met a goal. So what are some things that we might think about more deeply, or what do we have to think about what the real purpose is?
Yeah, so sometimes the purpose of celebrating is bringing people together. And so bringing people together in a deeper way or continuing their work together. So I'll use you and I as an example. So Kristie and I work together all the time. And so it's really important that we stop occasionally and celebrate the things that we've accomplished during the day. And what that does is more than bring us together, it also helps keep us focused. It keeps us motivated and keeps us moving forward.
Yeah, so I hope folks really heard that, because it's not just like we made it, but it was like with the purpose of strengthening, affirming, deciding what our next step is, not just like done with that, toast to you, though that's not a bad idea as well. I was also thinking about, and you alluded to it, not waiting till the very end of something, but thinking of it as something that we do ongoing to keep the momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't celebrate enough, but I think you've got to celebrate, figure out why you're celebrating. What's your purpose? Absolutely.
Okay. And so do we need supplies? I think you might have some with you today.
I do. I don't have them with me. Well, I have a few different supplies, but
okay.
You need colorful markers for any time you're going to be doing something that is a celebration. You need really nice art supplies, paper, things like that, because you can make anything a quick and easy celebration. You might need party hats. Those are downstairs. You might need horns. You might need lots of different things just to make things more fun. We know from a virtual standpoint, people are feeling sometimes at a distance. And the more you create joy and fun and laughter, the better. Even Kristie, I'm noticing your gong back there, and we didn't decide to talk about that, but that gong can be a celebration, right?
Right.
You could, yeah. So could you try to think of how could you use that gong to celebrate something?
So like every time somebody does something that's kind, or every time, even if it's about content, it could be something like if we're doing a round robin and everybody's sharing a story of success, we could do like a gong each time to just sort of open and close, that somebody shared something that was a success, or there was a moment of kindness, or a goal was met.
And even in your example, I might even say we're celebrating the courage it took to share that story or example. So even with adult learners, it takes a lot of courage to share, even in a virtual space. And so you want to celebrate all those pieces for folks.
That made me think of another one. So Julie and I have this way of tracking registrations or tracking things that we're excited about, and we color in boxes, but we could even like hit the gong each time a milestone was achieved, or each time we made it through another week.
Absolutely. Love it. I love it. Love it. Love it.
Okay. So supplies are always helpful. And if any of you are creative, think about just like even your Zoom background. But even if it's not a background, just do you want to redesign your space that day to be more colorful? Or like Julie said, if you have colorful paper, can you like hold things up by way of a sign? So we know that we're virtual, but it doesn't mean that we have to be boring.
That's right. In fact,
okay. Do you want to start into some of your favorite ones?
Yeah. Okay. So great. My first one is an Oscar style awards. So imagine that you have had, let's just say 100 people that you've been doing a big class with, adult humans. What you're going to do is you're going to give everybody someone else's name, and you're going to have them, and you do that early, and you explain that throughout the courses, they are to be watching and learning from and about that particular person, so that they can create an award for that person. And so the last day, you have an award ceremony where everybody shares their awards and why. And what that does is it allows other people to be seen. It allows other people to be noticed. It allows people to be celebrated. The other thing, you can put parameters around that. So sometimes I say create an award only with paper, markers, and tape and scissor. That's all you can use. And so I give parameters so that people don't go out and knit something or buy something or create something, right, that is going to make other people feel worried that theirs isn't good enough. And so parameters are really helpful for folks.
Yeah, my friend Myra has like a these like a Golden Globe kind of thing, and you can nominate somebody for like telling the best joke, or somebody who gave the best suggestions of what book to read across the entire course. So as I love the idea, almost like a little secret friend from the beginning. And then you don't know who's watching you, but somebody's going to really think about, oh, Kristie really loves beer. And so we might not be able to like exchange beer, but we could do something that would be a fun website or a fun YouTube video that would be about beer that could be shared with me, right? So,
or top 10 new IPAs that you might not have tried, or right. And so you could just create something that would be fun and useful, but it also says, I see you, and I see you as more than just a participant here. I see you as a human being.
Right? So a couple ways we could do it. You could do it up front by pairing folks. You could do it just as the lead and give out awards to everybody. But the idea, if you had 100 folks, this divides up the labor. And like you said, it's back to the purpose. It allows people to see each other and learn about each other even more deeply. Okay, so that's the Academy Awards, and you can put some parameters on it so that, again, people don't feel like they have to spend money or that there's a comparison kind of thing.
And I usually say no money can be spent, right? Just to be clear, so that everybody feels like it's a even playing field that way.
And these days, it'd be something that could be shared digitally.
That's right. Okay. And my second big idea is the 10-minute good news hunt. And so essentially, this could be done anytime you're just needing more celebration in your class. And so it can be done in all sorts of ways, but let's just imagine that you set a timer and you give everybody 5 minutes to go ahead and take either screenshots or digital pictures or something around your setting that relates to the content or that celebrates an idea that's learned or that shares something that they've noticed about someone else. And so everybody goes on sort of a little hunt around their house, gathers ideas and comes back and shares their big ideas for as an award.
And what I love about this idea, one of the things we talk about, we should probably mention the course again. In our Virtually Fabulous PD course, we talk about this scientific thing called triggering the positive emotional attractor. And what this idea that we have this negativity bias and we have to combat that and give more opportunities to think about hope and possibilities and what we're grateful for. The great thing about triggering the positive emotional attractor is it keeps us in a place where we can continue to learn. So taking that 5 minutes to go around, look for good news. So you can either check your Twitter feed and find something good. Good luck with that, but you could try. You could go look on the internet. You could look out your window. You could look under your desk and go, oh, my puppy's sleeping during Facebook Live. And that's good news. And take a picture and bring it back, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's just good news to you. But yeah, I'm really glad you brought up the positive emotional attractor. That's fabulous.
And I'll put in the link, a link to our course in case folks want to learn more about these kinds of tips. All right. So we've already done 2 of 4. Right? Okay. The first one was how to give out awards, either at the end or during, doesn't matter the size of the class. And of course, virtually. And the second was the good news hunt. All right. The third one.
Self-portrait. So this one sounds, I love so if someone says you get to do a self-portrait, that is very exciting to me. Most people though, in a room are not excited about art or drawing or right. And so when I say that, people are like, oh no. And they start to worry about, they're not good at that. They suck at Pictionary. Like all these things come up. Right. So instead, you just explain that they're going to create a self-portrait and they can be literal or figurative, but basically it can be everything you're celebrating about yourself or about your class or about your learning in a drawing. And so like in the brain part, they could write what's on their head in their head now because of the class, in their eyes, how they see things differently. In their nose, what does it smell like to think about this concept or idea? So you can get really creative, ears, mouth, etc., all the way to hands. Now, what do you have to offer because you've taken this class? The feet part, you put, where am I headed now because of this course? And so literally they have all kinds of ways to think about their own self-portraits. Then you get into small groups and everybody shares their self-portraits. And it's a really cool way of not just using creativity, but kind of tying up a course in a way that makes people feel really good.
Yeah, so sometimes celebration is that kind of tying it up and just sort of bringing some amount of closure and feeling like, wow, I really did learn a lot, or wow, I'm really excited about my next step, or I have a great deal to offer. So Julie and I always talk about the mindset, the heart set, and the skill set. And so this is also a way that you can celebrate that we have impacted our hearts, our minds, and our skills because of this webinar or because of this series or because of this course. And don't be afraid. I can't draw either. And I did this with Julie once and literally just drew a stick figure or just drew my eyes as a circle. And then I drew my heart as a heart and then a foot. Like I didn't draw the things, but I just made a square or a circle or an oval. And then I was able to fill it in.
Yeah, absolutely. And having a model is really important too. So you could say, here's my self-portrait. I'm celebrating all these things. And maybe in your heart, you as the instructor say, right now, you are all in my heart because I've learned so many things. And so you actually use yours as an example. That one is making me think of another. So now, of course, we're going to do 5, but it is called Give Me 5. Yeah. And literally it is having people trace their hand and putting in so literally you trace your hand and then you put in the palm of your hand, 5 things I learned or 5 things I'm now excited about, or 5 new questions I have, or 5 whatever. And then in the fingers on your piece of paper, they write those 5 things. And so it's just this lovely way to bring even like a 1-hour class together, so that it's just a cool celebration.
And so think about too, so like why was Julie doing that? And if you go, well, we finished up class, but the why was also to check for understanding. The why was to celebrate that we have new ideas or skills, and so people could draw them and then get into small groups and share them. You could even draw them on the dry erase board or the in Zoom. You could be, you know, I can't put your hand there, but you could draw a hand and everybody could brainstorm and contribute. So there's just one group celebration around that. So that's called Give Me 5. And these are the kinds of things that Julie and I will walk you through in our class, Virtually Fabulous PP. And we started off talking about why are we talking about celebrations? And then not just saying, oh, because it's over or it's done, but really inviting you to think deeply about, why do I want to celebrate? Am I trying to bring people together? Am I trying to trigger the positive emotional attractor? Am I trying to assess learning? Am I trying to get closure? And we're walking through 4, now 5 ways to celebrate virtually. And we did the Academy Award, the Good News Hunt, the self-portrait, Give Me 5, and now the car wash.
Car wash. And this is about celebrating human beings that might be in your class. So this is reminding me when we were in face-to-face and I was teaching at a college level, we would do something called a car wash, which essentially we would call a car wash for a student and someone would say, it's so-and-so's birthday, can we do a car wash? Or someone's feeling really bummed out today, can we do a car wash? Or someone really is having a hard time. So for a car wash, all it means is we used to line up on 2 sides of a hallway and the person would walk through the car wash and they would just hear genuine compliments and kind words as they walked through. And even as a professor, every once in a while, I'd say, I'm calling a car wash for myself today. And so I would do the same thing. And I only did that once in a while because but basically it's just really fun to think about the ways in which we can bolster each other with these kind words. So a car wash now virtually, we can't line up, we can't talk to each other as they walk through. So instead you would do what we call a chat splash car wash, which is, let's just say I was talking about Kristie and I put her and you put her in the center and everybody writes a compliment, a thought about who she was as a learner, like something related to the content she brought to the class, something more than, I like your hat, I like your sweater. It has to be deeper than that. So we also talk about what we're going to talk about when we do the car wash. But that's another way to have a celebration.
Yeah, I'll do a variation. So same thing, when we were in person, we would oftentimes during a retreat or a mastermind or something where adults were doing some really deep work together, at the end of a circle, we would be sitting in a circle. I would stand up and I would stand behind each person in the circle. And let's say I'm standing behind Julie. I would say, what do we know about Julie? And then just like popcorn, everybody in the circle would say, she's kind, she's creative, she's generous, she's brilliant, she's my friend, she's a mom. And it just goes and goes. And then people are picking off of each other's adjectives. It usually oftentimes will bring someone to tears because there's just so much kindness. And so you can do that same thing, just like Julie described, virtually, and you could unmute, everybody unmute, and everybody just yell it out. Sometimes you're talking over each other. Sometimes we're talking over each other. Maybe you want to just type it. And then that person has this recording of all these beautiful things that this circle of people feel about them. And then they go to the next person and the next person and the next person. So that's another way to do the car wash.
So we're here today to talk about professional development and how to celebrate things professional, like in terms of professional development. That's why we were asked this question. But I'm just all of a sudden thinking of what you talked about with the circle. And I was thinking about all these families who are celebrating virtually. They're celebrating Hanukkah virtually. They're celebrating Christmas virtually. They're celebrating the New Year virtually. And they aren't with their family like usual. So we can't wait to hear if you try one of these things. So I'm picturing if you have a big family and you decide to do a car wash and really have clear rules about what's okay and not okay in terms of compliments and kind thoughts, and then let everybody go ahead. I mean, just think about the difference that would make in your family's connection. So you can also use these things for virtual family connections too.
Well, I think it goes back to where we started, Julie. It's like, you know, everybody's sort of like, oh, this is no longer the tradition, but we've been doing so many things unthinkingly again and unconsciously, and we just get together. It's just this holiday because our family celebrates it, or it's a baby shower, it's a graduation, or it's a instead of really thinking about what is the purpose. And if the purpose is to feel connected, if the purpose, to use your phrase, to feel seen, the purpose is to give kindness and gratitude, then these types of celebrations become much more purposeful. And we don't have to be sad about what was, but really elevate what is.
Beautiful.
So that's what we have for y'all today. Thank you to my friend Sarah, who asked the question, how can we celebrate during professional development, even because we're virtually? We know the kind about having toasts and sharing drinks. And so hopefully we gave you a couple of ideas today that, you know, will get you thinking about why you want to celebrate, what are the supplies you might need, and then we gave you 5-ish plus ways to do that.
Yeah, enjoy. Let us know how you're celebrating, and join us for professional development, this virtually fabulous professional development. And I think the link is right below.
Yep,
check it out. It's so worth it. I can't tell you. You'll get about 5 big ideas every couple minutes, I think, in that class. So
somebody wanted to celebrate with us. Yeah, I was sleeping, but now I'm not.
Not anymore.
We made it to the end of Facebook Live, so yay for us. All right, Julie, do you know how to stop us on live, or are you just going to close it up?
I think I'm going to just end us.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.